Hi everyone, I'm Zen Cho. I'm the author of the Sorcerer to the Crown novels, which consist of Sorcerer to the Crown. This is the UK hardback. I don't have the paperback for stupid reasons. And also The True Queen, which came out last year. It is now in paperback. I'm too lazy to show you the paperback. But I'm also the author of The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water, which is a wuxia novella, which is due out from Tor.com Publishing in June. And I'm going to read you some of that towards the end of this video. But first, I thought I might show you around my study first, because I watched some other people do that in their SRFC videos, and I thought that was quite fun. So just going to show you around this room. There's not a lot to see. You can see my calendar. I need to tear it off because it's actually the 1st of May now. This is what we call, like, in Malaysia, kind of like a horse racing calendar. If you look closely, I try to see if you can see it. You can actually see that they're like little horses. Can you see that? Yeah, little horses in the calendar, and that's because it tells you when the racing days are. But these kinds of calendars are really popular because they show you the school holidays as well as the public holidays. So my dad got me one of these. These guys are politicians, but let's not talk about Malaysian politics because this will rapidly become extremely depressing. So I've been using it to just mark the days when I do some exercise, like an exercise video. Because I'm trying to keep up an exercise regime under lockdown, and it's kind of hard to maintain motivation instead of just sitting on the sofa having chocolate and watching Regency romance films. So I reward myself with a sticker basically when I've done some exercise. And these are my bookshelves. Well, they're shared with my husband, but you can see some great books, and the top shelf is actually signed editions, signed books, and they're mostly signed by friends. Except my two greatest prizes, no offense friends, but my two greatest prizes are people who are not my friends. The first is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is literally a signed first edition. Look at that. Will you look at that? Absolutely amazing. And I bummed this off Max Edwards. We were at a party together. He said that he didn't like the book very much, but mentioned he had a signed first edition. And I literally said, I was quite drunk to be fair. I said, well, you should give that to me then, because I absolutely love the book. And he did send it to me, which was really nice of him. And the other prize, and this doesn't involve any shameless imposition on anyone else, is Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. And this is really amazing because I'll show you her signature. I've never met her, so it's not signed to me. It's signed to someone named Ruth. Very tempting to change my name to Ruth, I have to say. But yeah, and I found this in a secondhand bookshop in Malaysia. And I literally bought it not knowing that it was signed. I just bought it because I was like, oh, I've been meaning to read this book by Octavia Butler. And then brought it home, looked into it, right? Got it open. And thought, oh, okay, that's cute that this was a gift to someone, to Ruth. Best wishes. What's the name? Kind of an odd name, starting with O.C. Hold on, wait a second. So that was a nice moment for me. And so I've got this book up there, along with books by mostly my friends. And then I've got like a couple of shelves of kind of like Malaysian and Asian research books. I write a lot of books kind of with Asian settings or characters. Very strongly influenced by history as well, so that's where all my research is. And I also have, this isn't research, it's just for the love of it, Kampung Boy by Lat, and the sequel, Town Boy. Lat is Malaysia's probably most famous cartoonist, and they're not really graphic, well, they're sort of graphic novels, they're sort of picture books almost, but they're these great graphic memoirs of his life growing up in Malaysia, in the Kampung, which is a village, but also in Ipoh, which is a town in Malaysia. So highly recommend getting hold of. You can get hold of them in the West. So highly recommend reading those. So I'm just trying to think what else. Oh, you can see my picture wall. Here's my picture wall. Sorry, the cinematography is rubbish because I can't actually flip the screen when I'm doing a video, I don't think, or at least I don't know how to. But yeah, you can see that a lot of the art is is kind of inspired by my writing, as it were, but there's also kind of movement art because I'm obsessed with the movements. So you've got some pieces from Tove Jansson, who is the creator of the movements, obviously. Also a tapir by Danielle Pereira, who's a Malaysian-based artist, whose work I like. You've got this beautiful piece. It's called "We Are Forests," but it's actually the cover art for my short story collection, Spirits Abroad, the ebook cover art, and it's done by my good friend Likain, who won a Hugo for Best Fan Artist last year. I think I'll do the reading now because I've run out of interesting things to show you, to be honest. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my upcoming novella, The Order of the Pure Moon, Reflected in Water. Tor.com Publishing describes it as found family wuxia fantasy, combining the vibrancy of old school martial arts movies with characters drawn from the margins of history. And I'm just going to read you the beginning. There was a brief lull in the general chatter when the bandit walked into the coffee house. This was not because of the knife at his hip or his dusty attire, suggestive of a life spent in the jungle. It wasn't the first time Winghua Coffee House had seen a bandit, and it wouldn't be the last. The coffee house was a kind of establishment common in any town with more than 2 tongue people. The tables were sticky, the waiters loud, and the chairs rickety. And as in any town in the peninsula with more than 2 tongue people, everyone there was used to bandits. It was, of course, safest to avoid bandits, but since most looked like ordinary people, indeed, if you were unlucky, some of them were your cousin, your uncle, your brother, this wasn't always possible. You have soya bean? Said the bandit. I'll have it hot and sweet. The chatter resumed, though there was a new frisson to it. It was mid-morning, so the worst of the breakfast rush had subsided, but there were still plenty of customers. Some departed discreetly, but others stayed, stealing glances at the bandit. The bandit was used to surreptitious scrutiny and didn't let it bother him. He smiled enchantingly at the waiter Aking when his drink arrived, but otherwise paid no attention to anyone else. He was busy reading the poster pinned above his table. The poster said, "By the order of the Protector, guardian of all that lies between the straits of the southern seas, any sighting of these bandits is to be reported to the Protectorate at once. Anyone found to have given these criminals succor will be punished." The poster depicted the morose faces of 5 men. The bandit was gazing so intently at the wanted men that he didn't appear to notice the quarrel brewing between a waitress and the customer at the next table. He didn't stir even when the customer shouted, "Useless girl! Do you think I wouldn't notice you're jumpy?" The observers could never agree on what happened next. Some vowed the cup of tea jumped into the air of its own accord. But of course this was not possible. The waitress must have thrown it at the shouting customer. In any case, the man smacked it away. It went flying, heading straight for the back of the bandit's head. The bandit leaned out of the way and watched as tea drenched the poster. The cup clattered onto his table, rolling to a stop. "What's going on?" cried the owner of the coffee house, rushing out of the kitchen. He took in the situation in one horrified glance. The waitress was looking defiant, the customer irate. The coffee house owner snapped at the waitress. "What do you do?" The customer was red-faced. "This girl tried to hex me. You don't try to deny. I know what magic smells like." "I didn't try to deny also," said the waitress with an injured air. Her bald head gave her an innocent look. She was pretty enough that she didn't suffer from adopting the grooming standards of the monastic orders. To look at her was to wonder why all women did not shave their heads. She gave the coffee house owner a look of appeal, but he was unmoved. "You hexed a customer?" he roared. He smacked her in the side of the head. "I didn't say that, Mr. Owl," protested the waitress, rubbing her head. "I just said I didn't deny only." "What kind of establishment is this, hiring witches to serve people?" said the customer. Mr. Owl looked anxious. "Sir, please." The bandit's eyebrow twitched. He sighed and turned around. "It's not the girl's fault. Uncle started it," he said. He gestured at the angry customer. "That sounds highly unlikely," said Mr. Owl. "Who are you to say?" said the irate customer to the bandit. "You didn't even see what was happening?" "I heard you pinch the other waiter's ass once," said the bandit, bored. "It's not even that good an ass. Shouldn't you be more discriminating when you harass people?" "That's so rude," said the waitress indignantly. "Aking, you don't listen to him. You have a very nice ass." Aking had vanished, but his voice drifted out from the kitchen. "Please stop talking about my ass, please." "Ah, sorry," said the bandit. "If I knew you were there, I wouldn't have commented." He turned to the irate customer. Uncle, give face to this gentleman. What's your name? Mr. Owl, said the coffee house owner. Mr. Owl is just trying to run his business, said the bandit to the customer. It's hard to make a living these days. We town people must try to get along. He reached into his robe and drew out a woven purse, which he threw at the coffee house owner. Mr. Owl caught it with the neatness of a man who would know the jingling of cash at 50 paces. He opened the purse while the waitress peered over his shoulder. Their eyes widened. A thank you for maintaining the peace in your coffee house, said the bandit, and for being a benevolent employer. He turned back to his study of the poster with the air of one washing his hands of the matter. You're just going to take a bribe right in front of me? Said the irate customer. Sir could have half, said Mr. Owl. I don't want half, said the customer. I want justice. In these times, justice is hard to get, said the waitress sagely. Better you take the money, sir. There was a tearing noise from the bandit's table. They fell quiet, but the bandit was only folding the poster delicately and putting it into his robe. He stood up. Sir, said Mr. Owl. Sorry, but I have to keep that sign, sir. I'll get in trouble with the matasi. I don't have it. Difficult, agreed the bandit. But what can I do? I can't read it here. That fellow is too noisy. I can't focus. He jerked his head towards the irate customer, who turned purple. Who asked you to be a busybody? Said the customer. Uncle, you're being very troublesome, said the bandit. Look, you've chased away all of Mr. Owl's customers already. Why don't you leave with me? I don't mean go away together. I mean leave here at the same time, separately. Let the lady be. Heaven will punish her if she's wrong. That's right, said the waitress, but the customer did not agree. Lady, he snorted, this girl's a useless slut. Actually, I'm a nun, said the waitress, pointing at her bald head. So, literally the opposite of a slut. Oh, shut up, growled the customer. He backhanded her. The waitress fell back, looking more startled than frightened. The bandit sighed. That wasn't very gentlemanly. Nobody asked you, pretty boy, snapped the customer. There weren't many witnesses left to quarrel about what happened next, but as he peeked out from the kitchen, Ah King saw the bandit take the customer's feet out from under him and pin him up against the wall. It was done in one fluid movement from start to finish. So, I hope you enjoyed that. That was the first bit of the Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water. It is available for pre-order now, so please do pre-order it if you think you'd like to read the book when it comes out. Thank you, bye!